What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. So I've got an issue, and the issue is I cannot see out of my rear view mirror. I have the camper top on the truck and I just can't see anything. I have zero visibility. So guys, WOLFBOX sent this out to me. This is the bumper version. It has the front camera, it has the rear camera, it has a dash camera. I'm hoping that this will solve all my problems for visibility. So super pumped to get this on. We're gonna go through the full installation step by step, and then we're gonna do a review at the end. We'll go over some features as well, and I'll let you guys know my overall opinions on it. Let's get into it. What we have here is a bracket. This is going to replace the OEM bracket for the mirror. I believe this is an additional $30 if you want to purchase this, just so you don't have to mount it on the mirror. It's going to make it a little bit cleaner. So we've got the hardware kit. I believe this is what we're going to be tapping into the fuse box, so that we can have that security feature when the vehicle is off. We do have the ability to plug it into the cigarette lighter as well, but I'm going to be hardwiring this into the vehicle. And here it looks like we've got some extra wire just to be able to get that cable ran to the rear of the vehicle for the rear camera. Go ahead and pop this box open. Nice. This thing's big. Alright, so we've got some camera cables. These look like our rear and front cameras. So I'm going to take a quick look through the user manual, and then we're going to get to installing this bad boy. These are what the bungees come around so that you can attach this to your mirror. I want it to be a lot cleaner look, so I'm going to take all these off, and then I'm going to mount this, and this is how we're going to get this mounted up to the vehicle, just so we don't have that extra bulk, so we don't have to hook it up to the mirror. So for this, the directions state to pull off these little rubber pieces, and we're going to go in there and unscrew these guys that hold on these bungees. So now we got those off. Going to go ahead and install this guy. And so the directions state to reuse all of these little screws to mount this plate on the back side of the mirror. So I got it all installed here. I'm just kind of roughly laying out my wires. So these wires we're going to be tucking underneath this trim. We're going to be running it down this pillar, and then we're going to be running the front camera wire through the firewall, and then we're going to be taking the rear wire under this panel and then all the way back. So I want to go from the mirror first, just so I don't have all this excess wire. So I'm going to go and start from here and run it down this pillar, and then we won't have all this extra wire hanging where we don't want it. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. I got the wires all tucked underneath this liner. I was just able to use this pry tool that WOLFBOX provides, and you can just kind of bend, torque that back, and then slip your wires in. And then I'm running them down this A-pillar. Hard to see, but there's a little gap behind this. So the A-pillar goes down here, and I'm running them and tucking them down here, and then I'm going to be zip tying them down below, and then we got to get into that fuse box here soon, and then we can take care of the rest of the wires. All right guys, so for that front camera, you're not going to be able to see it, but up under here is going to be the boot to get the wire through the firewall. So what I do to get wires through the firewall is I use, it's like a little flexible water hose. So I shove this through. Now I'm going to tape the wire on the back side, which is hanging right here. So I'm going to tape it on, and I'm going to pull this through. That's how I get through the firewall. Go ahead and do that now. So guys, this is kind of where I'm thinking about mounting this front bumper camera. Probably just pop a tiny little hole for this bracket here, and then you'll be able to angle it down or up without interference. Should be able to see pretty clearly. And then all this wire for the front camera, we pulled through the firewall. I am going to be running this here, being sure to stay clear of the battery, any battery cables or heat or the engine, and try to just tuck it probably underneath this flap and then bring it down where the same wiring harness for my S8 is. Pretty easy to run it through all this. Again, just make sure you're clear of all your anything producing heat, the engine. Definitely make sure that you're clear of the battery. So we got the front wire. Now I ran behind here, clipped it into this factory OEM little clip, and then I have it running down, hooked up to my other wiring harness. And for now, I just got it bunched up, zip tied there until we mount that front camera. Now I think we're going to hop into this fuse, like the power, this fuse box, and get this all powered up. All right, guys, just to recap real quick. So I did take the power wire for the hard wire. I ran that down this pillar, and in this fuse box here, I kind of skipped this step just because I need to get the right add a fuse. I believe it's a mini lobe pro that you need for Toyota, and WOLFBOX didn't provide that, so I got to figure that out. In the meantime, what I did was I ran the cigarette lighter to power it, and I ran it underneath this glove box and then up this side of the pillar. I didn't take the pillar off, but I ran it underneath here and then on the side of the door and then up this pillar and then up this trim up on the top. So that's my backup. That's what's powering it as of right now, just in case I can't figure out the solution for the hardwire kit, because I am heading on a trip tomorrow. So I will try to get this in the video, because I haven't seen a lot of videos on YouTube about that add a fuse to hardwire. We will try to hit that. Okay, so I did receive the low profile mini add a fuses. So now I wanted to pull this fuse cover off. This is the fuse cover inside the cab here. So this is the easiest way to show you guys how I'm going to be wiring this up. It's really hard to record. So I have these marked on the fuse cover. So B plus, which is the constant power, which is the yellow, we're going to be adding it to that empty slot here, because that's the constant. So what we're doing with this hardwire kit and why we want to wire it this way and not the cigarette lighter is so that when the vehicle is off, we have the ability to record if someone were to hit our vehicle when the vehicle's off and just sitting parked. So I want that ability, so that's why we're hardwiring this in. So again, you want to have the yellow wire, the B plus wire, hooked up to your constant, and I double checked with a multimeter to make sure that this was the constant, so when the vehicle's off, this still supplies power. And then this up here is your accessory wire. So that's the red wire. So this unit is smart enough to know that when your battery voltage is too low, it's not going to pull power from it. So it does have a smart feature on it. All right, guys, so right now we're running the rear camera wire. We're running it down this edge. We're going to run it under here. And then we're going to run it down through here under this carpet. Okay, right here is going to be an access point for that wire. If you can see this right here, we're going to pop a little hole in that little grommet so we can run that rear cable underneath this carpet, through there, underneath this truck, and then to the rear of the truck. All right, so I popped a little hole in this grommet here, just a little slit. And what I did was I ran that line again, pulled the grommet off, ran the water line underneath this carpet through that grommet. And we're gonna pull this through. So again, we're gonna tape it to this side, pull it through, and then we're gonna seal it up. Just wrap this up. So you can see I ran the wire underneath the carpet, and underneath there's that grommet. So you can see where that little slit is of the hole, and I pulled all the wire through it. And now we're probably going to be running it somewhere, probably with these other wires. We'll probably just hook it up with all those and run them all the way down here, up above the spare, and then probably just up whatever the safest route is. Just to recap, this wire I took and found a wiring harness cable that goes all the way to the back. So I basically just zip tied it to that wiring harness cable. And now I've got it coming through here at the moment because I have this swing out, my license plate's there, so I don't have anything here. So I'm just running the wires through here temporarily. And I'm going to be running this zip tied to this wire. And then we got the camera hooked up here. So we're gonna be doing some wiring for the rear camera today. And to do that, we're gonna need to pull this tail light off, and we're gonna take that power cable and we're gonna tap into that so that this reverse camera knows when to turn on when you kick it in reverse. That's how it powers the cable. So we're gonna go ahead and hit that now. So guys, I just got the tail light pulled out here. So if you can see on the reverse light, this red wire is what we're going to be tapping into. So we're going to peel this back a little bit so we can safely get enough to be able to tap that in. And there is a red wire on the harness for the rear view camera we're going to be hooking up. That's what we're hooking up. So guys, what I'm going to have to do is this is what's going to go into that rear camera. So what I have to do is add a little bit of length to this red wire because I'm putting it on the swing out. It needs to be a little longer. So there's about 2 feet here. I'm gonna add on to this red wire, and then we're gonna pull it up to that tail light and then tap into there. And I like to use these for connecting wires. These are basically, it's a heat shrink wrap with a little bit of solder in it. So these work pretty good. Probably go with blue. So now I like to kind of pinch that solder over it, just kind of lock it where I want it to be. And then you use the heat gun on her. So there we go, you can see the solder is melted. And I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wrap this in electrical tape, and then I'm gonna put another, some more shrink wrap over top of it, just to seal it up nice. So guys, it might be a little overkill, but I think it sealed it up pretty good. Once I get this all wrapped up, I'm gonna take some, it's like some braided heat shrink wrap that I'm gonna wrap all this in. Should make it nice and clean as well. This is that cable that we were just working with. This is gonna be plugged into the camera. We're gonna zip tie it to here after we put a harness together. Now we're running it through here. And now I'm going to be running this red wire to that tail light. We're underneath the truck. We're gonna be hooking this wire up to the wire harness. Probably go up here and zip tie it to that wiring harness, which goes straight across and then up to the tail light. And guys, before I get this all zip tied up in there and run in this red wire, I am going to use some of this. So this is heat shrink. I don't know exactly what it's called. I got it on Amazon, but you can shove your wires through there, shrink it up, just makes it clean so that you don't have a bunch of wires everywhere. It just looks, it'll look much better. To help get this cover on, again, I use this water line, shoved it through there and trying to see if I can pull this through. We'll see if it works. So that worked pretty good. We're gonna start to get this all shrink wrapped down. And I think this stuff will help just protect a little bit. After you heat shrink it, it's a hard coating, so a little cleaner. So that red wire, you can see we have it coming in here. And I got the red wire hooked to this harness, going across, still zip tied to that harness, and then up. Pretty simple. You can see I pulled back this just a little bit to give me a little bit of extra wire. It is a little bit of a tight fit. We don't have much, but I'm going to try to do something similar to what I did over there. Solder this together, probably feather these out. So I'm going to give myself enough room, just in case I mess up, I'll be able to hook it back up together. So probably going to cut somewhere around here, because remember we got to strip it back too, so give yourself a couple inches at least. Give this a try. Let's see if I can slip this on, I guess, before we feather them out. So it looked like came out pretty good. I'm definitely gonna tape this up. Should be sealed pretty good. I like to pinch this at the bottom, but we're definitely gonna make sure that's sealed completely. Before we get this wrapped up, I am definitely gonna start the truck and give this a test. So the reason why that's green is because I still have something on the front of this camera here, so I guess I'll go ahead and take that off. There we go. So that's a 4K dash cam. Looks pretty dang good in person. I don't think the camera can pick it up, but that's looking good. So we're gonna go ahead and put this in reverse and see if we got it. Ooh, okay. I didn't plug in the camera, so we're putting it in reverse. You can see it's flipped right now, so we're gonna have to go through and flip that around, but it is working. Put it back in park, then you can see your two cameras. Front camera, back camera. So we're in business. So we got this all hooked up. I taped it. Seems to be pretty legit. So we're gonna go ahead and put this guy back on. Per the instructions in the manual, for this connection for the camera, we are going to be electrical taping it and then putting this heat shrink wrap over top of it just to seal it up. Not exactly sure why they wouldn't come up with something that you could just plug in and it's already watertight, but we're gonna go ahead and do that right now. So guys, there's my electrical tape. Now I'm gonna slide this over top of that, heat shrink it. So there we go, guys, we got that heat shrink on. Usually what I do is I like to take my fingers, kind of go around when it's not too hot, seal that up. I zip tied this to this existing cable that I'm using. This is just for the light, for the license plate holder. So that light, I just zip tied, followed that in, and now we're gonna tuck and secure that on the inside of the truck. Under here, we got this all wrapped up. This is all the extra wire. Obviously, I don't want the wire to be out here, so I ran from the license plate that the camera's going on and then put all the excess in here because I don't want the excess wire to be up by the front either. So I think this is the best spot for it. So yesterday, remember, we ran our front camera wire through the firewall on this side and we're running it. I just kind of got it tucked in here for now. And the front bumper camera, I'm planning on putting right here. I thought about tucking it in somewhere in the grill back behind, but I think this would be the best spot just because it's a little bit lower and I can adjust the angle nice. So I'm gonna give that a shot. I did think about popping in a little hole just to run a bolt and nut here on this bracket, but they did provide double-sided tape. I use RC car servo tape. I've used it on all my LED lights. It's my go-to. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hit this with isopropyl alcohol, little wipe, And then I'm gonna go ahead and put that 3M RC card double-sided tape, and then we're gonna secure it just to there, because this thing is super light. I don't see it falling off. Same thing as the rear camera. When we plug in this connection, we gotta seal this up. We're gonna do the electrical tape, wrap the heck out of it, and then we're gonna put this guy on. So make sure you put the heat shrink wrap on first. You can see it's very directional, so make sure you don't mess up that slot. There's a little pin and a slot there, so make sure you plug that in right. So it's not a very big deal that you have this exposed on the ends. It's just that middle part that's real important. I like to wait just a second because obviously it is hot, but you can see that kind of sealant stuff. I'm going to go through with my fingers and just kind of press around the edges so I make sure that's nice and sealed so you can see that coming out. So yeah, that's solid. I like this heat shrink wrap. I've cleaned this surface super good. I've cleaned this surface with alcohol super good. This is our crazy special double-sided tape, and we're going to get this adhered onto there. Show rear camera. Show front camera. That's pretty cool. So when you're on the trail, guys, if you don't want to go through and swipe with your fingers, you can do voice control, which is pretty cool. I've been on a couple road trips with this, so I spent quite a bit of time on this before I posted this video. Some of the options I find myself using quite a bit is the brightness control. So I usually have it pretty dimmed, just because I don't want it that bright for me. It's kind of new to me having an LED display for a rear view camera, so I usually dim it all the way down. I can see it real well. You can cycle between camera views on this button. This one is kind of nice. I do like the 3 view when I'm off-roading on the trail. It does look a little bit confusing, but I'm usually focused on this middle camera just because it does give you a little bit more wide of a view of the front camera. If you use it like this, you're kind of looking more down at the trail, which is nice too. You know, this is a nice view. Definitely helped me out on the trails significantly, and it's been a huge improvement just being able to see because of the camper. So having this is just an absolute game changer if you guys have a camper. I just went on a little trip up the Big Bear. I absolutely love this thing. It's super helpful when you're trying to go up a big steep grade. This front bumper cam has been absolutely game changing, and I absolutely love it. Alright, that's it for today's video. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Seriously, it means a ton. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button, and if you're new here, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. Got thoughts, questions, or just want to say hey, drop a comment below. I read every one of them. As always, I appreciate the support, and I'll catch you in the next week's video.